Good afternoon and welcome. I hope you were able to enjoy a little bit some of our programs of the festival, Friday and Saturday. Today is the third day and the last one of the in-person program. But as you know, the festival will continue online next week with dedicated programs and replay of some panels and work in progress like this one. My name is Catherine Lamérès, co-curator of the festival with Delphine Ceres Alvarez. Delphine is not here, but I know that she's going to come a little bit later, for the last 5 years. And today, it's a real pleasure to introduce you to Jean-Charles Mbotti Malolo. Jean-Charles, you're really far away. Whom I met in Annecy last June. It's not a long time, but it's as if it was a long time ago. At that time, Jean-Charles was rushing to finish last episode of the series, Ex-Aequo, that you're about to see. And you were rushing to have it ready on time for the Paralympic at Tokyo, right? In August. So Jean-Charles is an emerging animator and filmmaker who went to the very famous school of animation, Émile Cole in Lyon. Jean-Charles is also a professional dancer, and that's very important. I just would like to point out that this is what makes his approach so special and so different, because he uses his sense of movement without the need of words, which allows him to go beyond in the unsaid territories. And I think you're going to watch that. But you'll have the opportunity to hear him today after the screening of some of his shorts. The discussion is moderated by Tristian Goik, president of Asifa East Coast, and also an independent animator and motion graphic editor based in New York. Maybe you would be able to explain Asifa much better than I will. And without any further ado, Tristan, it's yours.
Hello, everyone. Thank you so much for coming to the French Institute Animation First Festival, celebrating 5 years. Very exciting. Always a great opportunity to see foreign film and animation. Asifa East is the New York City-based chapter of Asifa, which is an international association of animators with chapters all over the world in different countries, created in France in the 1960s. And it is a great way for animators and animation fans to network and meet each other in coming together in different events. And we have a film festival every year. Submissions close at the end of Monday, tomorrow. If anyone has a last-minute short film they want to submit, it's a unique film festival in New York City because it is judged by all of our members. There's no particular panel of people that award the prize-winning films. We all come together, watch all the films that are submitted. We've never had to turn anyone away, and then tally up the votes and hand out craft prizes. This year will be virtual, of course, a lot of extenuating circumstances with the pandemic, but please check us out online at asifaeast.com. If you're an emerging filmmaker, animator, we have a lot of resources and a lot of friends that you can make along the way. And I'm very happy to be here today to talk to Jean-Charles Mbotti Malolo, and I hope we can all enjoy his films now.
Thank you, thank you.
Seeing all your work like that, it really hits me now how much activism and really passionate projects that you've always seemed to work on. So let's get into it. Starting with the films that we saw were The Heart is a Metronome in 2007, which was your thesis film, I guess you would say. The Sense of Touch, Make It Soul, and then 2 episodes of the series. Can you say this?
Ex-Aequo.
Right. Okay. So I think we have some time to talk a little bit, and then we'll open up to the audience, get some questions. I was wondering, I know you have this background that you started dancing at a really early age, but how did you start studying animation? What was like the first class or school that you went to?
Yeah, thank you for your questions. But first of all, I'd like to thank you everyone for having me, us. And yeah, it's a very special time for us directors to come back live and present our work. So I'm very happy to talk about it. Yeah, so first animation course was Emile Cole School, because I went to college. Is it college? Lycée? High school, yeah. Sorry. High school was like art in general. Like I have a background in, yeah, let's say art. And I went to animation first. I don't remember the date, but it was Emile Cole School. And I really wanted to be an animator. I loved the movement and how you expressed through drawing and stuff, but I never thought that I would be a director or even, you know, writing films at any time. I'd say the first animation course, I was like, oh, it's pretty hard to do. I didn't thought about it, and I'm not even sure that I can, you know, keep going and stick to the like animation field. But yeah, I struggled, but still here.
Well, I think you got over those struggles. It looks pretty good as each film goes on. What I really liked about your first film, My Heart is a Metronome, you really definitely broke out the dance movements when you started blurring all the lines. And was that a very personal film about your family, or was it just inspired by things you knew?
Well, I'm gonna have to make a pretty long answer to get around the question, so please cut me if I'm too long. But first, I was really into, okay, I'm gonna try and write a full movie, like through a scenario, and try to find dialogues and stuff. And my teachers at the time were really afraid that I tried to make something so personal, unique, and great. And you know, as every students try to have as a diploma at the end of the year. So they were more like, okay, you have a good drawing, and maybe you're gonna start to quit animation for a while and go create your diploma with illustration book or cartoon. I was like, no, I really wanted to do this. So long story short, I had this teacher that told me about, okay, I forget his name now, famous Japanese director, sorry. Anyway, the technique was to just create images, and like I had a bunch of 60 pictures, I think, that I draw, and it was about my background as dance, the culture, and stuff that I liked. And he told me that now that you have pictures, you can pick 5 of them, the ones you like, and you're gonna mix them so you'll have kind of an arc, a dramatic arc, throughout these 5 images. Once I did, he said, now you have 5 sequences, and the only thing you need to do is divide them into 10 other pictures, which leads to 50 because I'm good at math. And now you have a film of 3 minutes long, because like 50 scenes that you can put together that makes a film for your diploma. And I was like, oh, cool. But still, that's not the way I want to write movies, because I was really into writing with words, and I wasn't able to do it at the time. But then I followed the technique, I follow along, and yeah, at the end, I ended up with this film. And first, thing I showed, I think it was yeah, with the other students who were 20 at that time, I think, and they were like, "Oh, that's so touchy what you're saying about your parents and actually your father." And I was like, "What? No, that was the technique, and that just, you know, not at all. The story that I invented." And it took me 2 years, I think, to realize that it was like so personal, that it was my father and me. And yeah, so once I realized that, I was like, okay, I'm really gonna make movies, because now you can have like psychotherapy and make art at the same time. It's pretty convenient. So yeah.
I was researching you online, and I saw a little bit of a making of the film Sense of Touch. And it was all in French, so I wasn't exactly sure what was happening. So I'm going to ask you, I saw that you were choreographing and filming these dancers, which dance features heavily in that film, on top of the fact that you're taking on sign language as a beautiful way to express this romantic relationship, and so much gets told in that story, even without subtitles, just through the movements alone. So what was it like working with the dancers and filming them, and how did the camera angles and the movements, how did you use that to frame the animation shots?
Well, the dancers were the two choreographers that I worked with in the dance company that I was in at that time. So we just switched, kind of. So I was the choreographer and they were the dancers for once. And the idea was to create material that we used in the film, because I had many ideas of how they would, you know, communicate and dance and move. But at the same time, as I went through the whole animatic, I was either going to do the animation on the spot, or I had to leave like blank spaces for the very dance to happen. So we had this week, and we worked as if we were on stage, like creating the whole choreo for a dance piece, for example. And we had footage of what we've done, but it was more, what I had in mind actually was more as a reminder, because anatomy and stuff, when you have to draw anatomy, it's pretty complex, even when characters are dancing and you have this shortcuts of, you know, length and how it happens. And so I didn't want it to have the very same angles, because I was really scared that it looked like rotoscoping. And at the time I was like, okay, rotoscoping is the devil. I'm never gonna go into this. So what we did, the whole film is done on paper, like traditionally. So we had this kind of setup, actually a huge black box, where I put the footage of the filming, the dance filming, with the real bodies and stuff, and the animators were in another room, and they only had to, like, they had the right to go to the black room, check out the videos, take notes, and go back and animate it. They couldn't take the papers and look at the videos during the animation, because I really wanted them to, like, understand and create on top of it. So I had one layer which was the animatic. The second layer was the dance. The third layer was the animation, which was supposed to be evolving throughout the whole phase. But at the same time, we had dance courses for, like, I'd say once a week with the animators. So they, you know, understand in their very body.
You made your animators dance?
I did. I guess that's something that I'm gonna keep, because as a team building idea, if you want ideas, that's a pretty good one, I think. Yeah, it was just fun, and they really appreciated like going to theaters and watch dance pieces together. Dancing together, we even worked out, because it was like, oh, we're sitting all days, and now you have this guy showing up with other like ways and body. I don't know. I'm pretty mental about body and movement, so yeah, I tried to drag them in my world, and yeah, it worked. The idea was to because I could have said, okay, I'm the dancer, and I'm gonna keep all the dance scenes for me, and you're gonna animate the rest, but it wasn't like pretty fair, so they needed to understand the mechanics of the dancing.
It was definitely very impressive, and thank you for explaining that process of how the animators could look at the video, but they're not drawing from the video, because they still captured like the floppiness and the weight of the bodies, especially in partner dancing. Very romantic film, definitely. Now going to The Power of Soul, a film about African-American history and music. I was kind of expecting like a jazz show, but it ended up being very dramatic and having a lot of history in there. And I know that the character design was influenced by famous cartoonist
Simon Roussin.
Simon, yeah.
Simon Roussin, yeah.
Roussin. And that you've talked about in that having this collaboration freed you up to concentrate on other aspects of filmmaking, which it sounds like you're very interested in becoming like this director of movies. Can you talk a little bit more about what it was like to create that story and how much of the history went into it? Like, we get these intimate scenes of the dressing room behind the stage. How much of that was like based on reality, and where did like your exploration and animation come in from there?
I have to say first that this film was supposed to be commissioned film, yeah. The producer from Kazakh, Amaury Ovis, called me when I was doing the animation of The Sense of Touch, saying, oh, I have this film that I want to do about James Brown. I was like, cool, but in a way, I was like, oh my God, uncool, because of many things, but at the same time, I was like, okay, I know who James Brown is, and I can break it down for you if you don't, but he was really thinking about making a film about James Brown, and that's something we talked pretty soon when we have this first meeting and stuff. And I was really not into it. I didn't want it to work on this film because I didn't want it to have this view of, okay, James Brown is a genius for sure, because he just switched soul music to create funk, of course, undeniable, and that's a great dancer. But at the same time, that's also someone that brutalized all his wives and his team member and many stuff like that. We're not gonna dwell into it, but I felt like it wasn't fair, even at the light of this time, like right after, because it was 2014 when we had this talk. I don't know if it was Me Too already, but it was sure like 1 or 2 years after that. And I was really uncomfortable with doing this film. So we talked, and yeah, we managed with Simon, actually, that were the art director. We talked together, and he didn't have this perspective at the time. And when we talked, it was like really not on my side, because we didn't need to take side, but he helped me manage to turn the whole story into something else. And I had a pretty close idea if I was about to work with them, which was trying first to, how can I put it? yeah, just from the point that James Brown is a black man in the US under Jim Crow laws, and that was the beginning of my thinking. And this couldn't be kept away from the story for me. Maybe I'm wrong, I don't know, but that's what I wanted to do. So the writing really started back from this point of view, and it was really, really important not to, yeah.
So one of the things I noticed about The Power of Soul, such like vibrant colors and an interesting production process that I was seeing, that like characters would like fade in and out of drawn with markers, and I guess I'm assuming this digital animation. Can you talk a little bit about how you created that and decided what, like, the coloring process?
Yeah. So the idea of working with the markers is based off Simon Roussin's work. He's been like pinned as the marker guy in France. Like if you wanted to have a marker somewhere, you'd call Simon Roussin, and it was pretty complicated for him at that time. But when I saw his work, I was like, okay, we need to use it in a way that it's cinematographic, and I already had this idea of switching from computer, like flat coloring, to something hand drawn, because I'm trying to keep it I'm trying to keep it the vivid line of the drawing in the film, not cleaning everything all the time. So I felt like maybe the blur of the lines and the markers, like the texture, could represent the blur of an actual camera point, like where you'd put the point and what you'd put emphasis on.
Yeah, the depth of field, the focus.
Exactly. Yeah, the focus, sorry. So yeah, it was a first start, and then we realized that this vibration could actually talk about the vibration of light and the vibration of the colors, so the vibration of the music. Yeah, and it was all about like this soul music and how it would vibrate throughout the color and the music, yeah.
I think we have some time for questions. If there's anyone in the audience, we can run up a mic to someone in the back. There.
Thank you. I have a question. But prior to that, thank you for breaking down the process. You talk about animatic choreography and animation. I'm hoping you can elaborate on the other stage, which is the sound, because there's like a sound, but there are two parts, which is sound design for especially the sense of touch, you know, that how do we hear that touches, as well as if you can talk about the composition for the soundtrack, because you say you do choreography first, and so how does a soundtrack come about from that process? Thank you.
You're welcome. Thank you for your question. So if I stick to the sense of touch, it's not really true that we did the choreography first. I did the animatic first, and then from this, we created the sound, the music, actually. The idea, as the two characters are deaf, it worked well on paper, but then we didn't kept it. But the idea was to create all the sound design, from the music to the Foley recording, with voices, actual voices. So it would balance from, it would balance the people that doesn't talk and the music and sound created with mouth. So for this, I had in mind this famous singer in France. She's famous quite a lot in the US as well, Camille. And at that time, so you'd understand that I'm part of hip-hop culture. She used to sing with someone called Sly Johnson. is an ex-member of Ex-Aequo, which is a hip-hop group that used to have all the gold medals in like beatboxing championship and stuff. So I felt like, okay, I have a guy that highly skilled with technical sound mouth for the guy, and a singer for the girl. So we'd mix this and create something different. But, so first off, Slide never showed up the day we were supposed to record. So it's a cliche, but yeah, he never did. And we had a pretty huge fight with Camille on the spot that ended up by, you can tell me anything you want, but you're supposed to be the director, so you're responsible for anything that's happening here, and you need to get your stuff together and do your work. And I was like, I couldn't talk for a week after that, I think. But she was right, and we managed to have her recording all the music by herself. And with the sound, we felt that it was interesting to have texture and being more realistic. So stuff that we couldn't hear all the time in this very room, but the sound designer is Loic, and now I keep forgetting names, sorry. Burkhard, thank you. Loic, I'm sorry if you see this interview. But he's a genius, like clearly, and we really managed to have deep sound that can make the seats like scramble, and other subtleties. It was, yeah, it was so cool to work with him. He's really passionate about sound, and having him working in this like deaf people ambiance, it was something that kind of pushed his boundaries. He's the kind of guy that if like there's a car in the film, he needs to understand which car is it, and going to find that very car maybe on, on Craigslist here, and make it roll and capture all the very sound of this very car. And yeah, that's is crazy good. Yeah, and Camille was just amazing doing all this music, and the idea is that all the music, all the stems that compose the music are her own voice, and she used like meow, like a cat. How do you pronounce it?
Meow.
Meow. Okay, cool. Like in France.
Le meow.
Yeah. I don't know. Maybe they don't speak the same language. So. Yeah, she used like cat sounds and animals to create the music. So it was, yeah. I was pretty amazed working with because sometimes we're like directors and we have to direct, but here I really managed to have at every step someone that was way better than me. So I learned a lot during the animation. I had Susanne Zeidel, who used to work as an animation director for feature films, supervisor, sorry, for feature films. So she really helped me understand animation, and I evolved in each steps. Yeah, so I was always like, oh, so cool, that's in my film, and oh, so cool, the sound. And so, yeah, it was, I'm lucky.
Any other questions from the audience? Because I have many questions. Oh, I see one in the front here.
I know you very well because we do together the Ex-Aequo TV show, but I'm always impressed by your talent and your choice also, because you always choose, to talk about problems and maybe how to solve that problems, or politics problems, or homophobic problems, or handicap, or racism. And it's part of your choices. And tell us why it's a moteur, an ambition, or I don't know.
Thank you, Ilan. I actually wrote that question, but yeah, thank you. No, it was a joke. You were supposed to laugh. Fuck.
Well, how do you like? You have a lot of activism in your film, so how do you decide what stories do you want to tell?
Yeah. First of all, I have to. That's something I told Jeremy last night, but the sense of touch, which is actually a remake of the first film you saw, so it was pretty weird for me to be here and look at the films in this very order. But the sense of touch was my first like director film in the real life, and that was the first that I followed through festivals because I had the chance to travel with it, and that started to make me change about political vision that I had. Not that I wasn't political at that time, it's just that it switched from something where I was pretty naive on many questions. Saying this because I went to live action festival with this film, where there's a much stronger black community in it, I think, compared to animation. And I had black comedians, black artists coming up to me and asking the weirdest question I've ever heard at that time, like, hi, and that was just that. I was like, sorry, can you repeat that question? So the question switched from this to, I don't understand, why are you here? Or how come would you be able to do this? Or what are the path or the choices you made, and do you know people, are you rich, or blah blah blah. And I'm pushing a bit, but I was really it was so awkward to receive not the question, but the conversation that follows was about the fact that, okay, man, I'm so glad to see you here, and I'm so glad to have us represented, like us, black community. And I was like, yeah, well, I don't know. I'm not. I don't consider myself as a role model of anything. But then, at the same time, I really felt that it was a need, and people started to be really like they just talked about how it was for them to be black and an actor, to be black and like pretending director or anything like this. And I was like, okay, I'm just opening a door in a world that I really I couldn't. I mean, I knew because I'm black, of course, even though I'm mixed. There is racism, not in the US, all over the world. And I knew, but I didn't realize, to put it simple, how far it goes and how complicated it was actually to just, yeah, anyway, you catch my drift. And so that was maybe something that I realized that at the same time, Kazakh asked me to direct this Make It Soul movie. And it was really vivid at that time, so I couldn't put it on the side and just, you know, make it, okay, we're gonna make a fun movie about this star, James Brown, that's just so good that he dance and sing and stuff. I needed to understand much more this issue, so yeah, I went pretty deep in the research for the film. Like, I felt like a journalist, like deep and deep. But then at the end, I was really depressed, like a lot, because I had I'd say 2 years of research. At the same time, we did the founding, because it's pretty long to finance this kind of movie. And yeah, it was pretty hard to recover, because I think if we just look at like biography of this artist at that time, like from the 30s to 70s, but even now it's so much struggle and so much. And yeah, I think I switched, and I felt like there's a need for us to talk about the stuff that people doesn't really want to know or to hear about, maybe, I don't know. Yeah, so that's where but I don't really consider myself as a, how do you say, militant? Militant activist, yeah, thank you.
Well, why don't you tell us a little bit more about your new series, Ex-Aequo, and where we can find it. It's coming out, premiering. It's going to be online.
Yeah.
What it's all about.
Ex-Aequo is the perfect link to what I just said, so thank you for bringing it up. It's online already. I don't know if you can have it from here in the US. I didn't check, but it's online in France.
Well, is it you said it was a TV show, internet video show, or?
It's like the, how would you say, the internet platform of French TV, yeah.
Okay.
So,
what network?
Sorry?
What's the website?
Oh, it's called France Télé / France TV / maybe I don't know. I can give you all your emails and I can send you the link. But if you Google Ex-Aequo with my name, I think it would show up. Yeah, that's another proposal. So Bashi Bouzouk, along with Ilan from Folimage, came to me and just asked me if I wanted to work around this issue, and I was like, yeah, of course. So yeah, the idea was to, now for example, is the Olympic Games started a couple of days ago, and we all see sports as like the terrific things to do, and the Olympic Games as the very competition that we should look up to, etc. And I've been doing sport when I was younger. I don't really consider dance much of a sport, but even though there is sports in dance. And I know, again, that sport is really not the safest place as everybody's trying to make it look like. So it was interesting to gather a bunch, because you saw 2 episodes that talked about homophobia in 2 different ways. And the 2 sportsmen and women react to this discrimination very differently. Isadora is really empowering, so she takes it and embraces it and starts to fight, while Jesus is really down, and he's lost everything he loves. So it was important for us to keep the 2 episodes, even though we really wanted to work 360 degrees. So it's not about homophobia, it's really about many discriminations in many different sports fields, and in different countries. So yeah, that was the idea. And of course there is not much animation, but that's the entrance, like the animation is supposed to be the place where the very meaning of the TV series sits. Yeah.
All right, great. Well, I definitely look forward to watching more of those videos online, and I hope to see more of your work in the future? Is there any projects we should look out for, or events or screenings? Are you just on tour right now?
No, but I wish I could say look out for my next film that's coming, but I don't know when it's coming, and I'm just trying to fight the...
You're writing something?
Yeah, I'm writing. I'm trying to write. So send me good luck and yeah. But yeah, if I understand good, we're done. So thank you so much, everyone, for listening. And yeah, thank you.
Thank you, guys.